Spoilers! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Immortal Cave and Same We Trust .blogspot.ca. As usual, I will put a link to my blog in the description. And today I bring you what I like to call the Captain America 2 of the Doctor Who episodes you've been seeing this season. I call it that because, for absolutely no reason, it seems to have turned into like a political spy thriller, completely out of genre, out of absolutely nowhere. Um, I think this works out better than Captain America 2, but I have reasons for that, and that's neither here nor there. Um, Zygon Invasion. Generally speaking, this was good, and how do I exactly explain this? It's it's got a lot of good things, but the faults are what I'm more confused by. What I mean by that is, how do I explain this? It seems like it's both very original in the sense of how serious and how kind of not dark it. Well, yeah, dark. More actually, no, not dark. More serious it gets, like how deadpan it is. Um, which isn't necessarily bad, but we need to remember something here. This is Doctor Who. This is a show that a lot of kids like to watch. I think that they may be going, and I like dark, don't misunderstand me. But may I remind you that one of the first things I was worried about with the 12th Doctor was that they were going to go too dark with it. And they got a little more serious in Series 8. This one seems to be very serious. And again, keep in mind, this is an episode in which the Doctor refers to himself as Dr. Funkenstein and has a rock star like entrance into a plane. Like, they do keep things very. It's not out of tone, but somehow it is, if that makes sense. Like, it still grooves with everything, it still jives with everything, but it's still, at the same time, it seems like this seems to be the tipping point where how serious and how kind of deadpan this can get. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, again, part of what makes Doctor Who so good is the fact that it can do serious things, but it can also do very funny. Now, it seems like, despite like some comic relief and a couple of funny lines, it seems like this season does seem to be going on a very dead serious pattern so far. The first two-parter was not too bad for it. We had a lot of the sci-fi stuff and obviously Davros and stuff like that to kind of keep your mind off of it. Now that's one thing. That was one thing right there. Um, the second two-parter was serious, not that serious, and it was still kept a very adventurous mood to it. The third two-parter from last week, again, very funny, especially with the first part. And now that I think about it, it did kind of break things up a bit. But in the end, the two-parter itself felt more serious because the second part, again done very well, also had a lot of dark stuff in it. This one here, it seems like it's continuing this trend. Now, there might be some reasons for this. They mention hybrid again, and I'll get to that in a second. But for the most part, while I do really enjoy how serious and how good a lot of the stuff is, it does seem to be kind of running the gambit on how serious and how dark something like Doctor Who can be. And the thing is, I think it's going a little over the edge for my taste. No, I'm not saying it's bad. Again, this is kind of what I meant by this, the Captain America 2. It's well done. It's just out of tone from what I expect and what I like. I much prefer Captain America 1 if I'm going to be honest with you. But that's just me. But again, it does seem fine. In terms of just like actual quality of the episode, not just my taste, it's good. Some of the dialogue seems a bit off. Namely, I still cannot picture the Doctor calling himself Dr. Disco or Dr. Funkenstein. That felt a little weird. And a couple couple of dialogue parts just seemed very like they were added in at the last second, or like something very weird was going on. Like it just seems like somebody just kind of had a last moment, and it should have either gotten cut or rewritten. Again, that's just my opinion, and it's not a huge thing. It doesn't ruin the episode. It's just a weird little nitpicky thing that just kind of bugs me. I think everybody did good. I'm glad to see Osgood in. And they did exactly what I figured, which was this is the other Osgood. There's two of them. Now, because they're bringing in the Osgood box. Okay, I was technically wrong when I said earlier that everything in this season seems to be like it's a time travel thing. It seems like it's more like just a thought experiment. Because again, the first three still apply. This one doesn't apply so much to a time travel experiment as it does to just a thought experiment. Namely, Schrodinger's cat. The second they brought in the box, it started occurring to me, even though that was at the beginning of the episode, but near the end when everything was starting to wrap up and the box popped back into my head, I'm just like, I think that's what they're going for. Because the Osgood, whatever you want to refer to her as, keeps referring to herself as half human, half Zygon. She's both and she's neither. Again, Schrodinger's cat, if you aren't familiar with it. Cat in a box, poison might get released, and it's technically supposed to be both alive and dead. Personally, I don't really like it. I think it's kind of a weird thing because the cat itself is a living being, ergo, it knows, ergo, it clearly can't. Now, this is a different thing because it's just refusing to, it's in a different element, and I kind of like it more because it's supposed to be that mystery of it. It's not supposed to just be, well, it's both because it's both. You know, I don't like Schrodinger's cat, but I like the way that they're doing this. What else was there? Oh, yes, the hybrid thing. Okay. They've mentioned hybrid 3 times this season. I think the only time they didn't mention it was in the Fisher King two-parter. Now, the first episode obviously mentioned Davros and the Daleks becoming a hybrid of both a Dalek and a Time Lord, and the race becoming that. Now, obviously, they got their butts kicked by their own dead because, oops-a-daisy, Davros, you're a moron. And, you know, obviously, the Master, the stuff happened in that episode. They mentioned hybrid with Ashilda, and now they're mentioning hybrid with Osgood. Now, it didn't occur to me until just recently that they might have been referring to the, for old school Doctor Who fans, the Valyard, when they keep referring to a hybrid. Now, I don't think he is, but I think that that's kind of what they're leading up to. Because obviously, he mentioned, like, legends will tell of a hybrid, blah, 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 blah. Something Davros said. I need to rewatch those episodes. But, it seems like that's what they're going to with this, because I think they said something like the 13th incarnation will create the Valyard or something like that. I'm remembering certain things that I looked up, and some of it might be wrong, but I faintly remember that being the case. Anyway, I think this might be what they're leading up to. Like, as the theme, it's a fairly weak theme, but I do think it makes the episodes themselves stronger. If that makes any sense. That's kind of the catch-22 with Doctor Who, is that if you make the season plot strong, it makes the season come off stronger, but it makes the episodes come off weaker. Season 6 is a perfect example of that. It had one of the strongest seasonal plots, but the episodes themselves were kind of weak because of that, with a couple exceptions, of course. This season seems to be doing the opposite. The episodes themselves, the two-parters themselves, are very good. But the seasonal plot itself seems to be very meh. Like, I'm kind of like, well, you know, it's true, I guess. It makes sense, I guess, but Like, how do I word this? It's, I'm now realizing that it's true bit makes no sense, and I kind of phased out for a second there, don't mind me. Um, I, I'm not sure what to think of this season. Again, the 12th is my favorite Doctor now. Because I love the rock and roll thing. I love the guitar. I love the fact that he has amps built into the TARDIS now. I think that it's a little strange that because he didn't show any signs of this last season, and last season it was seeming to aim more towards like a professor or a teacher rather than a rock star. But at the same time, I really like the rock star thing. I don't know. We're going to have to see how things progress with that. If they do seem to switch him around, I might have to take back what I said about the 12th being my favorite. But we're going to see how this goes. Right now, I think he's tied with Matt Smith, I would say. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. This was a good episode. Again, the dialogue was a little weird, and it's a little, like, deadpan tone. That's not me saying it's bad, just that it's out of tone from what I like. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next week for the second part of this, and I'm getting really tired of these two-parters. Moffat, don't do this again, please. This is exhausting. For the Zygon inversion, which I will grant him this. It's a little bit better of a name than Under the Lake Before the Flood, because I'm never going to remember that, and I'm just going to call it that two-parter that I really liked. Hi, vey. See you next week, boys.